Let me out of here!
Barton paced back and forth in front of Galvax, smiling smugly and laughing to himself.
Damn, can you be any more unoriginal? I mean, my tales. Every time I capture you freaks, it's all I hear from you. I swear you cry more than you bleed.
Galvax wiggled his fingers and loosened the bindings on his hands a little. It stung, and his wrists were raw and bleeding, but he needed to free himself. He needed to free his mother.
You will regret this, Barton. Once I'm out of this dungeon, I will kill you.
Barton got real close to Galvax's face, nose to nose. His smug face grew more and more confident by the second.
You can't even see me right now. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but you've kind of got a burlap sack over your head.
He couldn't gauge Barton's size and mass while on top of Maxxie's beast earlier, but he could now. He walked heavily with what sounded like a wide gait, so either he was extremely muscular to the point of not being able to walk straight, or he had long legs and his strides were long. But just knowing his height wasn't good enough. There wasn't enough information to go on. Galvax needed more.
Oh, trust me, I've noticed. Burlap is known for being quite a thin material, so it's not that hard to notice when you've got awful breath like yours coming through it.
Barton growled. Galvax felt a fresh wave of stench enter the burlap sack. He listened carefully. It took Barton a full second to stand back up straight, so he wasn't all that tall, which was good considering Galvax was 6'5". Now all he needed to see was how strong he was. He could hear Barton starting to walk away, but Galvax needed him to stay put.
You know, that Citra girl was kinda cute sounding.
Barton stopped walking.
Yeah, what of it?
Oh, nothing. It's just her actual name, Maxxie. It sounds so much better and a whole hell of a lot more fitting than Citra. Honestly, if you ask me, Citra actually sounds kind of...
Barton right-hooked Galvax in the face. That still wasn't Barton's full strength, and Galvax knew it.
It actually sounds like the name you'd give a prostitute, or someone who just doesn't belong. And definitely not the name for a proper torture artist.
Barton left-hooked Galvax this time, sending him flying across the room and into the steel walker walls, denting the structure with his back.
Don't you dare talk about my Citra like that again. Don't you dare!
Galvax still wasn't satisfied.
And what if I do? It's not my fault you're in love with a 17-year-old little girl.
Barton threw another punch, forcing the burlap sack off of Galvax's head and sending his lower right molars flying from his mouth, scattering across the dense floor. He really felt that one. Barton was right where he wanted him.
You want to try doing that again with your other fist? Maybe you'll knock out my other molars this time.
Barton lunged at Galvax, picking him up by the throat and slamming him into the wall behind him repeatedly.
Why won't you just be quiet?
Galvax was taken by surprise. He knew Barton would get angrier, but outrage was unexpected. He took his free hand and clawed at the back of Barton's head, hoping it would make him let go. But Barton kept slamming Galvax into the ground, and yet he still didn't believe it was his full strength.
Barton, what's all that pounding?
Barton didn't stop. Galvax could feel the life being beat out of him. A minute longer, and Galvax would be dead.
Barton, what are you doing?
Maxxie jumped on Barton's back, trying her best to pull him away from Galvax.
Get off of me, whore!
Barton threw an elbow back and caught Maxxie in the jaw, sending her soaring backwards out the doorway she came in and through the wall behind that one. Barton immediately stopped beating Galvax and ran to Maxxie.
Citra, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Here, heal him.
She was cut and broken, but not bleeding. He took a knife from his back pocket, opened it up, and sliced his forearm wide open. Maxxie leaned forward and touched the pooling blood, soaking up the liquid until Barton was white in the face. Then, she proceeded to kiss Barton and his wounds slowly closed. Barton's face returned to normal color.
Please, forgive me, Citra. You know I didn't mean that.
Maxxie stared at Galvax and didn't say a word. Barton continued to stare at her, waiting for a response. He looked into her eyes to see what she was captivated by and only saw the man he was just attempting to beat to death.
What makes him so special? Why can't you care for me like you suddenly care for him? Where's my love?
Maxxie stayed silent.
Maxxie, answer me, please.
Maxxie instantly locked eyes with Barton. He never said her proper name. Ever. And he never felt jealous over another person she wanted to make sure was okay. What was going on?
Barton, I'll talk to you later. I need some alone time with Galvax. You nearly killed him. Belle told you specifically not to harm him. What do you think he'll do once he finds out? Do you really want that to happen again?
Barton looked at the floor in dissatisfaction. A few seconds of silence passed.
I think I will go lie down and wait for Belle to get back. Hopefully he won't notice what I've done.
Barton looked back at the destroyed wall, door, and cage wall.
But something tells me he's not going to miss it.
He walked away, silently crying to himself. Maxxie got out of the rubble wall and knelt next to Galvax. He was bleeding from everywhere. His back, arms, eyes, nose, mouth. It looked as if he was put under the world's largest boulder and had it dropped on him. Maxxie leaned over and kissed Galvax and held it there. One by one, his wounds closed and the bleeding ceased. Galvax inhaled sharply, nearly sucking Maxxie's mouth into his. They both pulled away, coughing heavily.
Sorry. I'm not used to being brought back from near death by being kissed.
No, don't worry about it. You're actually a pretty good kisser. Much better than Barton.
Oh, thanks.
They both laughed. How was he making jokes at a time like this? He was almost beaten to death and his mother is still missing. So how is he laughing?
How are you feeling?
My back feels totally fine, and no more poison. How did you do that?
Do what?
How did you heal me like you did? How did you heal Barton just now?
It's quite odd personally, but I have the power of healing. I take away pain. It shortens my lifespan each time I do it though, so I try not to use it a lot.
That doesn't make sense. How can you just take someone's pain away? It's, well, impossible.
Honestly, I don't know how I do it. One day I just noticed a little boy about my age crying because of a scraped knee, and I walked over to see if I could help. Suddenly, I felt like kissing him, so I did. His wound healed up and he went on his way. I felt his pain on the same knee as him. So when I say I take away the pain, I literally mean that I take it. I don't know how it works, but it does.
Okay, I'll buy that, but why a kiss? Why not just something else, like touching a person?
Because when you kiss something, it helps you forget what's going on in the moment. That's what I believe. If it's a person I kiss and I like them, I think of them. If I'm kissing someone I don't like, then I think of how gross it is. If I kiss something that isn't a person, I think about how odd it is. I think about all of that so I don't think about the pain I take from others.
Wow, you're quite the open book.
I got nothing to hide but pain. Ask me anything. I'll answer everything.
Why does Barton call you Citra? And why does he have feelings for you? I'll admit that when I said he loved you to try and get a rise out of him, I didn't actually think it would be true.
Oh gosh.
Maxxie sighed deeply and sat down, cross-legged on the floor.
That's an interesting story.
I've got nothing but time. Go ahead and tell me.
Galvax knew it felt wrong to sit there and listen to a pointless story when he needed to find his mother, but the little girl in front of him was extremely captivating. For someone so young, she was very mature. He sat down with her.
Barton is a control freak that lives under the rule of someone he can't control. He picked me up one day so he could feel like he had power over something to keep him sane. A defensive precaution, if you will. Somewhere along the line, he started to notice that I had the same qualities as a woman he was madly in love with. A woman that rejected him when he was most vulnerable. So now, all of those feelings are thrust upon me because apparently I remind him of her. He won't let me leave, and I have no way out.
Well, why not? All you have to do is simply sneak away.
Maxxie leaned forward and got close to Galvax. She got on her knees and placed her chest next to his face. She pressed Galvax's face into her breast. It was awkward, but he listened. No heartbeat.
He's literally got my heart. It's inside of him. I don't know how he's done it, but he's made it to where if he dies, my heart stops beating. My life is literally in his hands, so I can't...
Maxxie cut her sentence short. She heard footsteps coming from the outside of the cell.
Get back in the chair.
A tall, unevenly muscular man entered the room.
Maxxie, where the hell is Barton? And why are you speaking with the prisoner?
Barton got mad and shoved me through a wall, and then left. And I was just explaining who he was and telling Galvax the stories of your fortress. That's all.
I will let it pass. If it's a story you were telling, then there's nothing disobeying about that. Barton, on the other hand, is some disobeying no answer to. Ready a torture chamber, Maxxie. It's time he finally paid for his disobedience.
Wait, do you plan on killing him?
Why, yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'm planning on doing.